Peace, man. Gonna go ahead and get straight into my subject matter, and that's dealing with statistics. So, you know how when you get into these back and forth conversations with people online, whether they are white people, black people, other races of people that want to comment and talk shit about black Americans, one of the things that they usually bring up is y'all are 13% of the population, but you are responsible for 50% of the crimes. And I find that shit interesting because I'm like, really? So I also watched a clip last night. It's about like 11 minutes long. I was trying to find the entire video. It was on Willie D's podcast, and hopefully he will put the entire video out. But it was dealing with this lawyer that he had on there. And the lawyer was bringing up these statistics. And so Willie D was basically, he was adamant about what he was saying when he was like, I don't believe those statistics. And, he gave his reasons as to why he didn't believe what the lawyer was saying. But the lawyer he was also adamant. He was like, well, you can believe what you want, but this is what the data shows. And basically what he was saying is that black men in this country, as far as violent crime is concerned, they lead in violent crimes more than any other race that is within this country. And and I found that very interesting because I'm like, I know we got people in our community that do dumb shit. But one thing that I learned was this: murder has no statute of limitation on it. Usually when you're dealing with violent crimes, 9 times out of 10, it usually leads to death. And in some cases, it may lead to an individual being, severely scarred, severely injured, and they may survive. But they're going to have to deal with the ramifications of what transpired as far as that altercation is concerned. But in most cases, the individual usually dies. So with that being said, murder has no statute of limitation according to what I was taught when I majored in criminal justice. So where am I going with this? So I started doing research, and I'm going to keep doing research because I'm going to start compiling shit and putting data together for us to use against these motherfuckers when they start talking about, oh, you guys lead in all of the fucking violent crimes. And for some people, they're saying that we are responsible for 50% of the crimes that happen in the United States. But I'm going to start putting a list together and give us the bullets that we need to pierce holes through any motherfucking armor that they have that they think can shield them from this shit, to where we're going to be like a motherfucking 50 cal. We're going to blast right through that shit. But when I went to Google and started doing research, you can't really find any information on how many black people were killed during the transatlantic slave trade by white folks. How many black people were killed when we landed in the places where they chose to distribute us at and work on these plantations, and whether you had a plantation or not, or whether you could afford a slave or not. The rhetoric and the atmosphere at that time still led to thousands, if not millions, of black people being killed or harmed. But there are no statistics on that. Not to the point where you can really gather the information that you want, or at least I haven't found it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's out there. To go even further, majoring in what I majored in as far as criminal justice, I also learned that the Native American people numbered in the millions. And by the time the colonizer got finished decimating them, their numbers were down to either 300,000 or a little under 300,000. That's not, and we're not even counting the shit that was done to the Irish, since, y'all want to say, they black, but, I ain't even getting into that because I've already addressed that shit. Or the Japanese, the Chinese, or any other ethnic group that happens to be people of color or not people of color that came into this country that were brutalized. Terroristic tactics were used to kill, maim, steal, rob, All of these things were done by the colonizer. Now, why am I bringing all of this shit up? Because y'all want to keep using these goddamn statistics to paint a picture that black people, because you never separate the good from the bad. We're all lumped in the same motherfucking pot. So since y'all gonna do that to us, we're gonna start doing that shit to y'all. You never find those statistics to the point where you can use them and be like, okay, since you want to bring all of this shit up about black people, then who accounts for the atrocities that your people committed back then and all the way up to now? Because see, when it comes to the killing of black people, we can deal with the transatlantic slave trade. We can deal with what happened in Europe. We can deal with what happened here in the United States during slavery, during the Civil War, during Reconstruction, during Jim Crow, during Civil Rights Movement. Bring that shit all the way up to 2025. And I'm pretty sure when we start doing the fucking numbers and get the percentage on it, whatever the fuck black people have done in this country will pale in comparison to what the colonizer or what white people in this country have done since they turned Turtle Island into North America and more popularly known now as the United States of America. But no one wants to talk about this shit. And then when you do have individuals that talk about it, the first thing people want to say is, well, that was so long ago. But that's the reason why I brought up murder has no statute of limitation. Because at the end of the day, someone has to pay for that. Someone has to answer for that according to your laws. So if someone has to answer for that, then tell me who's responsible for that. Because y'all always want to be like, well, we didn't live back then. We can't help what our ancestors did. Why should I be responsible for what happened 200 or 300 years ago? The same reason why we got to be responsible for what the fuck happens in this day and time when it comes to black people doing dumb shit. Let me paint a picture for you. The sentiment now is when a lot of y'all see black people, especially black men, and depending on how that black man is dressed, you automatically stereotype them to be a thug, a hood nigga, a motherfucker that's up to no good. If you see a group of kids walking down the street, you can have a group of white kids or a group of Asian kids. No one looks at the white kids or the Asian kids in a manner of, oh, they up to no good. But let there be a group of black kids. And depending on what neighborhood that they are in, they're going to automatically get stereotyped. Same thing with brown kids. They automatically get stereotyped. So now, when our people do something that's horrendous or heinous, that becomes their highlight reel, which becomes our highlight reel. And for the most part, we can't live that shit down. We experience that type of attitude from individuals when we go in certain establishments like restaurants, stores, where you get fucking profiled. Hell, even you got this thing called driving while black. We have to deal with that shit. So if we have to deal with it, goddamn it, you got to deal with this shit as well. But all of these statistics that y'all want to bring up, well, hell, let's deal with that. Every damn law in your state and federal penal code system, white folks broke the majority of them goddamn laws to establish this country. When you talk about murder, you're murdered. You killed wholesale. You want to talk about robbery or stealing? You stole people. You stole land. You got white collar crimes, blue collar crimes, and most white collar crimes are done by people who are more affluent. 9 times out of 10, those are white people. Where the fucking statistics on that, since y'all say black people commit 50% of the motherfucking crimes in this goddamn country, but yet y'all always telling us we lazy and we fucking broke. But this is the sentiment that is going on in this fucking country to the point where, since y'all want to go that route with statistics and shit, I'm going to start gathering information to where we going to blast y'all on fucking statistics.